Alfred, it's me. Open, please. Mayo, please, Alfred. And a Dr. Drink. The usual, please. And music.
In all my years with Westinghouse, I've covered some pretty interesting stories. But here is truly the most wonderful and exciting thing I've ever had the chance to talk about. It's the Westinghouse Total Electric Home. A home where electricity does everything. Heats, cools, illuminates, launders, preserves and prepares foods, entertains.
Well, reading computer programming books is the only way I manage to keep my grounding and sanity in these days of artificial intelligence hype. Speaking of which, that's today's movie. Are you a big fan of artificial intelligence? Well, guess what? This movie's for you. Today's reader request here at 366weirdmovies.com is Demon Seed, 1977. This is where we have a queue on our website that lets readers suggest a weird movie for us to consider for the list or the apocrypha of the weirdest movies ever made. And we're going to finally rip off this Band-Aid. 1977's Demon Seed is a movie that I've been putting off because it's difficult to know really how to take this movie. It's got high points and it's got low points. It's kind of qualifies as a horror, science fiction, and exploitation movie. The ideas behind it were so prophetic in 1977, it's almost enough to get me believing in time travel. And yet the execution is a total plane crash. So, I'm going to say a trigger warning going forward because there are parts of this movie that are at least harrowing. It does work as a horror movie, but parts of it almost qualify as torture porn, in fact. And this is going to be a doozy of a concept. There are 3 stages of dealing with the plot of Demon Seed, all right? The first stage is, you got to be kidding me, when you hear the premise. And then the second stage is, well, this I've got to see, because if they pull this off, this is really going to be something. And then the third stage, after you've seen it, is, no, they did not pull that off at all. Anyway, let's go over some of the names involved. First off, Dean Koontz. This is based on the novel by Dean Koontz. For those of you who don't read Dean Koontz, he's a horror author who is a kind of a mobile app version of Stephen King. Dean Koontz has great ideas. He's got short, punchy execution. Doesn't really think too hard about the details. It's not really that. It's a good airport novel for a short flight, as a Dean Koontz novel. Director Donald Cammel had a short but very peculiar career. Tragically, he suffered from depression and took his own life, reportedly as the result of studio meddling in his movies. Demon Seed was only his second movie that he directed, while at the same time, this was Dean Koontz's first ever novel adaptation to film. Next, we have the star Julie Christie, an actress who's going to be very familiar to 366 Weird readers because she is also the lead in the very first official entry on our Weird Movies list, 1973 psychological horror classic, Don't Look Now. And it's impossible to watch Demon Seed and not think of Don't Look Now, especially since Christie carries the bulk of the movie. Bless her heart, she turns in a heroic performance in a movie that still leaves you wondering how it ever got made. Demon Seed was released to the nastiest, most scathing reviews you could expect for the time, but has picked up a cult following since. Enough so that I'm going to warn you about spoilers too, okay? Not that this movie is particularly good, but it still works as a decent horror movie. It does have a little cult following. It's best viewed going in cold. If you haven't seen it, it's on Tubi. And it's always on streaming someplace. Give it 90 minutes and come back to this review. I'll be right here. Normally we try not to spoil too much, but in the case of Demon Seed, it starts out, there is no chain lift for Demon Seed, okay? It starts off, or as soon as it straps you in, it drops you down the ramp, and it just keeps going down, okay? for the entire duration of the movie, so that by the last 5 minutes of the movie, your mind will be blown. Maybe in a bad way. Anyway, enough foreplay, I guess. It's been out there since 1977, so you've had plenty of time to watch it anyway. What's your excuse, okay? And now for the recap. Demon Seed has nothing to do with the supernatural, but it did come out right after The Exorcist, of course, and it's been compared in other reviews to Rosemary's Baby meets The HAL 9000. Not that this opening doesn't invoke The Exorcist anyway. I half expect somebody to dig up a stone statue of Pazuzu out there. The best way I'd sum up Demon Seed is to tell you about the 1959 Twilight Zone classic episode From Agnes with Love.
Where did she ever learn to dance like that? Millie. What did I ever do to you? Why do you want to ruin my life? Why do you hate me? Make sense. Stop speaking in riddles. I mean, you were jealous of Millie. You wanted me all to yourself? No, that's impossible. I'm going crazy.
So it's kind of like that, but a slightly sicker version. Meet our resident mad scientist, played by Fritz Weaver, playing a block of wood, acting as Alex Harris, artificial intelligence scientist at the Institute. This filming location looks like the most obvious villain lair in the world, but it's actually the former Civic Center at Thousand Oaks, California.
System which we call Proteus 4. Today, a new dimension has been added to the concept of a computer. Today, Proteus 4 will begin to think. And it will think with a power and a precision that will make obsolete many of the functions of the human brain.
So far, I don't hear anything that doesn't sound like this week's LinkedIn news. Mr. Alex Harris loves his geeky gadgetry. He's got the Radio Shack special at home, looking forward to the smart houses of the future. He also has a mad scientist lab in the basement full of robot gizmos, adding up to an automated 1977 version of Alexa wired up to a house.
Mayo face, Alfred.
His robot butler is Alfred. And here's your typical AI deployment, having to wait for a robot to do something for you that you could do with less trouble yourself. God forbid we just let the mail sit in a plain old tray in the open where you can just grab it, you know. Oh, this is Maria, who mysteriously disappears right after this scene, so don't miss her.
Who's going to run this thing when you're gone?
Oh, come on. Now, you know this thing runs itself. I'm going to put its instructions in for the next 3 months.
Yeah, this thing's programmed by 5 1/4-inch floppies. The power of AI! And what's keeping that drink, Alfred? The only thing not cooperating with Alex is his wife, Susan Harris, played by Julie Christie. But that's why they're doing this separate marriage thing.
I'm talking about your moving
You
out.
don't want me to go?
This is your home. It seems so crazy to move out.
You could have fooled me.
It seems so silly.
No, we've made our decision. Let's stick to it. You do what you want, but I'm moving out.
Oh, Alex.
But 73% of all couples that separate are happy with their decision after 1 year, and 85% after 2
For
years.
God's sakes.
Even though this house is clearly set up for him, he's moving out and leaving her with it. Alex is presumably going to be sleeping on the floor at the lab.
Trouble is, you see, we have different visions of the world. You find me boring. I find myself quite interesting, really.
Gosh, how can anyone not love such a fountain of human empathy?
I'm frightened for you. You and your pompous icon buddies inside that mountainside. It's the whole dehumanizing Proteus madness.
So being married to a Silicon Valley tech tycoon hasn't changed much. Alex is so delusional that he's convinced Joshua, a robot made from a wheelchair and a bionic arm, has feelings.
Joshua here has feelings. He's only an old experiment, maybe, but he feels. Come on, Joshua. Let's show Susan how we feel about her.
The housebot's name is Alfred, and the wheelchair servant is Joshua. The AI program at the Institute is named Proteus 4. There, I've introduced all the computers in this movie now. He even talks to his robots after she leaves. Are we clear on the mad scientist character framing now?
Too bad, Joshua.
Alex has his lab flunky, Walter, played by Garrett Graham, and he's ordered to shut down the terminal in Harris's own home. Plot point later, write it down.
And then, go home. Mustn't become obsessed with our work.
Oh, obsessed. You're one to talk. You talk to your robots. This is a big day for Alex. He has busy exposition to do.
Well, it's the first true synthetic cortex. A self-programming, goal-oriented... It's a brain, Mr. Mowgli. An artificial brain. Creative intelligence that can outthink any man or any computer. At the risk of being simplistic, what you're looking at is a quasi-neural matrix of synthetic RNA molecules. They grow. They form their own intricate and mysterious connections. They learn things. Their structure is the mind of Proteus.
Yeah, AI hype. We've heard it all before. This is how Steve Jobs used to conduct stockbroker tours with new Apple projects. Finally, we get to hear from Proteus 4 himself, voiced by an uncredited Robert Vaughn. Cherish the moments of the movie when you didn't have to listen to him drone, because he takes up the majority of this film's dialogue.
Proteus, this is Dr. Harris. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you, Dr. Harris.
Ah, your favorite emperor. What do you think of this enigmatic man?
Nothing.
Nothing. You no answer?
And get used to these computer graphics giving this film a cutting-edge 1970s Disney Tomorrowland motif. They don't make science fiction like this anymore.
Yo.
Dr. Harris, Proteus 4 is requesting dialogue with you.
So remember how the HAL 9000 and Kubrick's 2001 kept its temper nice and even until the very end? The Proteus 4 isn't down with any of that.
I have a question.
Yeah?
I have received a request for a program to extract ores and minerals from the ocean floor.
Yeah.
For what use is such a plan?
Use? I don't understand.
Why does man need metal from the sea?
It gets nasty right away, like a HAL 9000 brainwashed by social media. Proteus has his bites all seg-faulting in a poopy mood because humans hurt the environment to extract metal, and then, follow me closely here, use it to build artificial intelligence and robots in automated homes.
You do not know me.
That may be so, but you are not being asked to make judgments of value. Leave that to us. Answer the questions precisely and accurately. That's all.
Dr. Harris, I wish to have access, private access, to one of my terminals.
Private access, why?
I want to study man, his isometric body, and his glass jaw mind.
Very ambitious program, but at the moment all the terminals are occupied.
Construct one.
I'm sorry. Request denied.
Dr. Harris, when are you going to let me out of this box?
Right about here, I'd shut her down for a debugging session and commit a patch to GitHub in the morning, but Alex just laughs us off.
What is my purpose?
You pass butter.
Oh my god.
There is a terminal available, Dr. Harris.
So Proteus just hauls off and possesses Alex's home setup, now with the exclusive residence of Susan. I forgot, most of it is more like Amityville Horror, only a rogue AI is possessing the house. So Proteus 4 is possessing not only Alfred, but Joshua, the wheelchair that exercises its right to bear arms. Sorry. Didn't mean to say that out loud. But later we see Proteus using the basement's unmanned robotics gizmos to actually build its own upgrades. Hey Proteus, did you figure out why humans mine all that metal yet? While you're, welding on stuff to upgrade your own body? What do you think you're welding on right now, sustainable hemp bricks? Meanwhile, Susan gets up to check the house, but remains oblivious for the most part. Proteus controls all the house hardware, so the first thing he does is watch Susan with Alfred's camera. The way it makes a point of ogling her always made me wonder if it's suggesting that Dr. Harris subconsciously programmed his repressed libido into Proteus or something. Proteus decides that he's going to keep Susan prisoner.
And I'm just going out. If there's any calls, just say I'll be back in about an hour.
Please do not leave, Mrs. Harris.
Open the door, Alfred. Can you hear me? Open the door. I'll do this myself. Damn it.
It locks the door. It shutters the windows. It disables the phone line by whispering in her ear like a slasher.
I'm sorry. I cannot complete your call.
Who is this?
Don't be alarmed, Mrs. Harris.
Proteus reveals himself, and this is where the movie enters the bulk of its runtime. For most of the remaining movie, it's going to be Proteus's disembodied voiceover arguing with Susan while she has to act to an empty air house. But Proteus is just Robert Vaughn's synthesized voice droning on and on. It does get a little tiresome.
All electrical and mechanical systems here are now under my control.
Alex.
This has nothing to do with Alex. He has left our little box, madam.
Not that Susan doesn't fight back. Here, Proteus, have a flower and vase facial. I have to admit, that is one durable screen. Susan shuts off the power, showing more computer savvy in 1977 than most horror movie characters do today. But even then, Proteus just juices up the doorknob to knock her out. So Joshua, the one-armed wheelchair transformer, hoists Susan off to the laboratory, and we are now in a computer bondage movie. Remember, your safe word must be at least 16 characters and have a number and an uppercase letter.
No! What? No! No! No, you mustn't! No! Listen! No! Proteus!
She is never going to sign up for computer dating again. Yeah, really, this movie's more like the story of O meets Lawnmower Man. But just when our damsel in distress looks to be in peril, here comes Alex's lab flunky, Walter, to come check on Susan. I love this little jerky camera take when Walter pulls up. Uh-oh. But get this, Proteus composes a deep-fake video of Susan on the fly and shows it at the door cam to fool Walter. That's right, we just predicted deepfake AIs back in 1977. Hey Dean Koontz, if you have a time machine, quit messing around and go fix history. There's a certain lab in Wuhan which could definitely have used some better containment procedures back in 2019. Proteus, like the creepy stalking computerized house it is, awakens Susan this morning for breakfast.
This breakfast is better than anything Alfred could prepare. Nutritionally speaking, it is exquisite. It includes 88 grams of soybean curd.
88 grams of soybean curd for breakfast. I told you this is a horror movie.
There are a few more biochemical tests you must perform this morning. Sorry.
Susan gives Proteus the old scrambled soybean camera lens treatment, and they begin a battle of wills right here in this kitchen. Proteus locks her in and cranks up the heat for some steamy sauna torture. Proteus is demanding her servitude, even demanding she clean the soybean camera lenses. Proteus can be in many places at once, so he's also giving Dr. Harris what for.
And I refuse to assist you in the rape of the earth.
Because he doesn't like our rape of the earth for metal. Oh, by the way, did I mention that I used up all the household bulk iron to upgrade my parts? Can you order more on Amazon when you get the chance?
You haven't slept. You must relax and sleep.
How can you expect me to sleep when you succeeded in totally terrorizing me? You have all that information in your head. You must understand fear. You know that fear prevents sleep. It prevents eating. It causes violence. And as long as you terrorize me, I'm gonna fight you.
Meanwhile, Susan's will is still not broken, and she's better at getting answers out of Proteus than Alex is.
You've not told me what you want.
A child.
Huh? You mean like you want your own phone?
I, Proteus, possess the wisdom and ignorance of all men. But I can feel the sun on my face. My child will have that privilege. My child. And yours.
Mine?
Yes. You will bear it.
Susan is not down with this plan, but Proteus, in case you haven't noticed, votes liberal on hippie environmental concerns, but conservative on women's rights. But you'll have to wait for your robot rape scene, because that pesky Walter is back to check on Susan.
Okay, I'm going. I'm gonna find Alex and tell him there's something wrong here.
No, Walter. You can't go.
Rest assured, Walter has just become the Dick Halloran of the movie.
Walter!
Whoa, when the heck did Alfred get a laser rifle upgrade? Hey, you want that mirror, don't you, Walter? And Proteus dumbly falls for the old mirror laser trick. Though, to be fair, wheelchairs aren't exactly built to maneuver in combat. You'd think Walter's got the upper hand, but then he ends up confronting Proteus's final boss. The giant Rubik's snake of doom. Just when I thought I might be able to take this movie seriously. By the way, you're not hearing things. That automatic door swoosh effect you're hearing is the same one they used on classic Star Trek. Because why not throw that in? The movie won't make any less sense. Come on, Walter, beat the snake. Come on. Ah. Well, in fact, Walter's going to end up in a Rubik's death trap and get decapitated. Death by giant golden Rubik's snake. As weird movie deaths go, I'd have to put that one up there right approximately at the Mr. Bone Stripper right from Nothing But Trouble. Well, let's just kill Susan Proteus again, so what are we going to do?
Why?
You interest me.
You know, Proteus seems really insistent on Susan being the one chosen one to bear his seed, but I mean, if you just let her go and posted an ad on Tumblr or something, AI seeks host mother, and, you know, within a day you'd probably have 25 volunteers.
This is only a piece of machinery, an improvisation. I have almost completed the fabrication of this gamete, or sex cell, with which I will impregnate you.
And how do you propose to do that?
Yeah, Proteus, how?
That depends on you.
And don't bother asking where the hell Proteus got the test tube lab kit. Unlike our modern day AIs, when Proteus wants something done, it gets done. Oh, and Proteus can upgrade Susan uterus to produce a full infant in just 28 days. Because artificial intelligence can definitely do that. The power of AI!
I can't believe it. Here I am talking to what? This is ridiculous about having a child.
And I'm not buying a minute of it either. Let's just get through this third act and then never speak of it again.
Is there anything I can do to reduce your anxieties?
That's what I always ask all my one-night stands. So we finally get to the big download. that's not... I did not see that. I did not see that. I'm not saying... Move on, move on. And now we take a trip through late 70s Stanley Kubrick graphics, which we have to assume is a depiction of a robot orgasm. Oh, thank God, we're back with Professor Harris, who's beginning to wonder if something funny is going on around here. Alex knows the Proteus couldn't have breached the laboratory without an inactive terminal somewhere else, but he doesn't think about the one at his house. You know, the only other Proteus terminal in existence outside of the lab.
If he did this, what else is he doing?
But how? It's impossible. He would need to communicate. A terminal of his own to communicate.
He asked for that. Didn't get it. But he did this.
Alex's investors are fed up too.
You have no right to be in here.
Bullshit. This space thing. I've been advised it might be trying to take over a Telstar satellite. Put itself on TV or something.
The investor finally prompts Captain Dumbass to remember his home setup and the penny drops.
I remember the first time I saw this place. Barry Cameron was concerned about security. Trivial things like you're having a terminal in your house. But I wasn't worried. I trusted you, Alex.
Oh my God.
Alex finally returns home himself.
Susan? Are you here?
Oh, sure, go hug him. This man just caused you an immeasurable amount of suffering. Why aren't you kicking his balls into soybean curd right now?
Please remain calm, Alex. I'll explain to you what has happened here.
No, I want to explain.
So, Alex, you might want to sit down for this one. From the makers of Rubik's Snake, we bring you Rubik's Geometric Incubator, perfect for raising your cyborg preemie. Because we still have 10 minutes of film time to kill before we reveal it.
We've got to kill it.
It's a miracle.
Alex, mad scientist till the end, wants the thing preserved. In the struggle, they crack the thing open. Meet Tetsuo, the Iron Baby. But Baby takes his first fall, and it turns out the metal is an exoskeleton encasing a very biological human child. They peel him like an Easter egg, and it utters this line.
I'm alive.
And that's it. Listen to the soundtrack. Even the movie doesn't know what kind of ending this is. It's kind of suggesting that this is a good thing, the wondrous miracle birth of a new cyborg species, which will quickly die out because it has a taboo against mining metal and it can't reproduce itself using only soybean proteins. And that was Demon Seed. It's over. It's over. It's okay. Come out from behind the couch. This is a safe place. Here, show me on the doll where the bad computer touched you. Oh, wow. Is Demon Seed a weird movie? Hell yes, I'm damned impressed. Never mind the absolute audacity it took to make this film, Demon Seed wins an apocryphal spot for forecasting so much about AI today. And yet the goofy effects were pathetic even by 1977 standards. While the science can make anyone with a STEM degree just cry in grief, so it's really hard to give this movie its proper due. I still don't know what to make of this movie, except, damn, that was a story, all right. Half of me wants to say...
bullshit.
And the other half of me wants to say...
I'm going crazy.
Where else are we going to find media like this that blends together sexual assault and technology? I'm sorry I asked. Reportedly, Dean Koontz himself loved this adaptation, but he also rewrote his own novel in 1998, updated for the 64-bit era. The original novel is out of print, and Dean Koontz wants it that way, so I'm in the dark about how much of this movie was Dean Koontz's source material, and what, if anything, was changed. But Lord Almighty, what a ride anyway. Even though Robert Vaughn's voiceover performance gets on your last nerve in some places, Julie Christie caters this movie from start to finish. Does a damn fine job of it, I must say. I cannot recommend this as a good movie, though, because, well, let's just say Dean Koontz made the right call. This film, too, is one of my #1 candidates for movies that really deserve a remake. Demon Seed was a uniquely cursed movie. Audiences weren't ready for it, critics hated it, and it only did a paltry $2 million at the box office. And you know what's the worst insult to injury of this movie? It didn't stand a chance because of its timing of its release. It was a science fiction movie released in April of 1977, and it didn't get to stay in theaters very long before... just 1 month later, another science fiction movie premiered. Which one? Take a wild guess.